Revealed, Billionaire discovers his maid's amazing secret dance, transforming their lives forever. Jack leaned back in his leather chair, surrounded by glass and steel silence that was his sprawling office. The weight of his family's legacy pressed down like a lead blanket. Charity galas filled his evenings, board meetings consumed his afternoons, each day felt like a winding staircase with no end. Yet, for all his wealth, emptiness gnawed at him. He poured a glass of whiskey, but even the burn couldn't mask the hollowness within. He felt like a ghost wandering through the grand corridors of his own life. That evening, as he prepared for the lavish gala, something unusual stirred in the house. A melody, soft and inviting, reached his ears. Curious, he followed the sound to the kitchen, a space usually filled with the clattering of pots and pans. Instead, he found Maria, his maid. The moonlight trickled through the window and caught her mid-turn, her feet gliding effortlessly across the tiled floor. There was no hesitation in her movements, only passion. Jack stood frozen, captivated, as she danced. For a heartbeat, the world melted away. The stress of his corporate life vanished, replaced by a rush of forgotten dreams. She was radiant. Maria wasn't just a mother or an employee here, she was an artist. Her talent, hidden away like a butterfly in the cocoon of her daily struggles, unfurled with grace and authenticity. Jack's heart raced. He recognized the yearning in her eyes, a mirror reflecting his own desperate search for meaning, for freedom. "Wow," he murmured, not wanting to break the spell. Maria stopped abruptly, surprise washing over her face. Embarrassment quickly followed, her cheeks flushing as she quickly glanced away. But something unspoken passed between them, a spark of connection igniting the distance of their worlds. Little did they know, the night would set off a chain reaction, one that would challenge everything they thought they knew about themselves and each other. As their friendship blossomed, they began to share pieces of their lives. Jack spoke of the pressure to uphold the golden name, while Maria revealed the weight of her responsibilities with two little ones counting on her. In quiet moments, as they shared laughter while washing dishes or moving furniture, they discovered that their contrasting lives were threads woven into the same fabric of desire, a desire for hope, love, and acceptance. But societal judgment, unforgiving and relentless, swiftly darkened their newfound bond. Jack's friends whispered behind their glasses of expensive wine. "Is he seriously getting close to her?" They scoffed. The noise was relentless, suffocating. Yet, the more they pushed back, the more Jack felt an uncontrollable urge to step forward. When Maria was asked to perform at the gala, Jack couldn't help but feel both excitement and dread. He knew her dance would be a powerful testament to her resilience, but would his world accept it? Would they see her talent, or simply the label attached to her? As the night of the gala approached, adrenaline coursed through Jack's veins. Backstage, Maria stood, whispers of the crowd reaching their ears, a crowd full of polished suits and perfect hair, judging, assessing. Jack's heart sank at the thought of her being reduced to a mere spectacle. But as the first notes of the music began to play, he felt an unyielding urge to protect her, to champion her talent against the tide of mockery. With a determined heart, Jack rose to speak. "She deserves to shine," he declared, a statement that would unravel everything he thought he had to protect. The audience quieted, and all eyes turned toward him, awaiting what he would dare to do next. Would he have the courage to defy the whispers? Would Maria finally receive the recognition she longed for? As the curtain drew back, the tension surged. A moment of truth hung in the air. Would this be their liberation or their downfall? The music filled the air, vibrant and alive. Maria stood in the spotlight, her heart pounding like a drum as the initial notes danced around her. Jack's voice resonated in her mind, "She deserves to shine." The words echoed like a call to arms, urging her to rise above the judgment swirling outside the stage walls. As she took her first step, the crowd held its breath. Maria felt the tension, a tangible weight, but she pushed it aside. This moment was hers. The rhythm infused her body, and before she knew it, she was lost in the dance, shedding the layers of doubt and fear. Each glide and turn was a testament to the struggles she defaced, the late nights spent caring for her children, the dreams she had hidden for the sake of responsibilities. Jack stood at the edge of the stage, mesmerized. He saw her transformation in real time, a butterfly breaking free. She spun and twirled, each movement weaving a narrative of resilience and grace. In that moment, she wasn't just his maid, she was a fierce artist, a warrior in her own right. The audience was silent at first, curiosity turned to awe. Whispers turned into gasps. Maria felt their eyes, the weight of their judgment, but now it felt different. It was as if she was spinning not just for herself but for everyone who had ever been told they weren't enough. In the front row, Jack's friends exchanged skeptical glances. But something shifted in the air. Maria's passion was contagious, igniting a flicker of recognition in them. They shuffled awkwardly in their seats, uncertain, but undeniably captivated. As the performance reached its crescendo, Maria poured everything into her final act. She drew in a deep breath, letting it flow through her body, releasing all her burdens, all her hopes. The room was now electric, a sea of faces lit with admiration and surprise. Then it happened. As she leapt into a final spin, her gaze locked onto Jack's. In that fleeting second, she felt his unwavering support wrap around her, giving her wings. This was not just her story, it was theirs. The barriers that had once defined them began to blur, like colors bleeding into one another. With a dramatic flair, the music softened, leaving a gentle echo as Maria held her pose. Chests rose and fell in unison, the audience collectively exhaled, and then the applause erupted. It was thunderous. From whispers of doubt to roars of appreciation, the crowd had transformed. Jack could hardly believe it. He felt hope bloom in his chest. The tears prickled at the corners of his eyes as he rose to join the applause, feeling triumphant. But as the roar of approval filled the room, a dark shadow loomed, the realization that he would have to face his friends, their expectations, and the harsh glare of society. As Maria stepped off the stage, breathless and glowing, she caught Jack's eye. They shared a look that said everything: joy, fear, and the undeniable connection that had grown between them. But underneath it all lingered the question that neither dared to voice. Did we just change everything? Maria's heart raced, echoing the uncertainty of the night as reality began to sink back in. Would their lives be forever altered? Would the applause drown out the judgments, or would they face an even greater battle outside these walls? Jack took a step closer, determination etched into his features. No matter what happens, we face it together. But as reality beckoned, a sharp voice cut through the jubilant atmosphere, hinting at the storm ahead. What a spectacle, indeed! The stakes were higher than ever. Would they stand united against the world, or would the very fabric of their connection unravel under pressure? Maria stepped off the stage, her breath coming in excited bursts. The echoes of applause still rang in her ears like a sweet melody. In that moment, she felt invincible. Stepping into the spotlight had been a leap of faith, and now it felt like she'd landed on solid ground. Yet, the reality beyond the stage cast a shadow over her triumph. Jack stood close, his eyes shining with pride, but the warmth between them was dimmed by the strain of what lay ahead. His friends remained in the front row, their faces hard to read. Unease settled in his gut as he recalled their skeptical expressions. Would their admiration wane now that the performance was over? Would they judge him for what he just witnessed? Maria, that was incredible! Jack exclaimed, drawing her closer, his voice barely louder than the fading applause. Thank you, she replied, her smile stilted. But what about them? She nodded toward his friends, who were now withering under their whispers and pointed looks. Just then, one of Jack's friends, Greg, stood. With an exaggerated clap, he spoke loudly enough for everyone to hear. Am I the only one who thinks that was just ambitious? Dancing maids and all? His tone was mocking, and snickers erupted from their group. Maria's cheeks burned. She could feel the judgment of his entire circle crashing down around her. What had felt like victory just moments ago now felt fragile. Jack's expression shifted. You don't understand her journey, he shot back, his voice rising. Maria poured her heart into that dance. You all should have seen it. Should we applaud the help now? Greg cut him off with a sharp laugh. How very egalitarian of you, Jack. The laughter followed like a cruel wave, crashing against the passion that had just ignited in her. Maria tucked a lock of hair behind her ear, trying to fight back tears. Uncertainty clawed at her. Had she really changed anything? But then she remembered the feeling on stage, the freedom, the strength. She prided herself on her resilience. Maria took a deep breath, even as Jack stepped forward protectively, ready to defend her. "Those who really matter see her," he said firmly, looking straight at Greg. "She's more than her job. She's a force to be reckoned with." The crowd's murmurs shifted again. The tension hung thick, but there was a note of change. Suddenly, other audience members chattered amongst themselves, shifting their gaze from Maria to Jack's friends, judging those who sought to belittle. Maria's heart pounded. Could it be that her moment had sparked something more than vulnerability? A change ripple among those who bore witness to her journey? "What if they don't accept it?" she asked quietly, not just for Jack to hear but for herself. "We'll show them." "You've shown them," Jack said, smiling fiercely. "You broke down barriers tonight. Your story matters. Let us not let them take that away from us." Before she could respond, two women approached. One of them spoke hesitantly. "I'm sorry. I didn't understand before." "That was beautiful, Maria." Another chimed in. "Yes. It was inspiring. You made me believe in my dreams again." Maria's heart fluttered. She saw in their eyes the spark of understanding, the connection she longed for. "What now?" she asked Jack as people continued to come forward. He looked around, eyes bright with renewed purpose. "Now we embrace the change we've created. We stand tall." Maria nodded slowly, a mix of resolve and lingering fear swirling within her. Their connection felt stronger, but the world beyond the moment still loomed large. What challenges would they face once the dust settled? Jack squeezed her hand. "Together?" "Together," she echoed, bracing for what was next. But then, from behind them, a voice spoke, crystal clear and laden with authority. "What you did tonight will have consequences you didn't expect." As the crowd fell silent, Maria turned, heart racing. What could this mean for them? Would they be ready for the fallout? The voice belonged to a tall, stern-looking woman draped in a sleek navy suit. She stepped forward, eyes sharp and calculating. All eyes shifted from Maria and Jack to this newcomer, who seemed poised to shift the tides of momentum. "Excuse me?" Jack said, confusion mingling with concern. "Who are you?" "I'm Evelyn Sinclair, the new director at the city's Cultural Arts Department," she replied, her tone icy but not unfriendly. "What you did here tonight defies the standard, and it'll be important for you to know that not everyone will view it positively." Maria felt the color drain from her face. She had expected applause, admiration. Instead, here was a person seemingly a gatekeeper casting shadows over her moment of triumph. "What do you mean by that?" Maria managed to ask, her voice slightly shaky, heart racing. Evelyn inclined her head, acknowledging Maria's fear. "Your performance challenged the norms. It's bold. It's inspiring. But you need to understand that breaking barriers comes with a price. Some will resist the change you've started." Jack clenched his fists at his sides. "And what are you saying? That we should stop expressing ourselves? That we should silence her truth?" Evelyn softened a little as she looked at Jack. "Not at all. But just know that with visibility comes scrutiny. I've seen it happen too many times." She glanced at the crowd, then back to Maria. "People might not accept what you stand for. They might want to drag you back into silence. But I believe there's potential in this. A chance to use your voice." A swell of emotion rose in Maria's chest. She didn't want to be silenced. That stage had become her escape, her declaration of identity. "Then what do I do?" Maria asked, her voice stronger now, fueled by the night's earlier pride. Evelyn stepped closer, lowering her voice just enough that it felt like a secret shared between allies. "You embrace this challenge. You don't stop dancing, Maria. You don't stop sharing your story. Instead, you focus on building a community around it. Find those who will support you." "But what if I fail?" Maria whispered, doubt creeping in. "Failure is part of growth," Evelyn replied softly. "The risk might seem daunting, but it can also lead to incredible strength. It might even transform this city's cultural landscape. Jack's hand found hers again, squeezing gently. He nodded at Maria, his eyes reflecting all the encouragement she could ever need. You've already taken that giant leap. Keep going. The crowd began to murmur again, energized by Evelyn's words. Maria spotted familiar faces among the audience, people she'd never before shared her heart with. They were sharing glances of admiration, excitement, and understanding. What if this is the start of something bigger? Maria thought, glancing from Jack to the audience. Was there really an opportunity here? Then let us make it happen, she said, determination settling in her voice. Evelyn smiled, an approving glint in her eye. Good. I'll help you get introduced to some influential figures in the arts community. Together, we could really amplify your voice. Just then, a shriek of laughter broke through the tension, causing everyone to turn. A man pushed through the crowd, waving his arms wildly. It was Greg, followed closely by a few others. You all aren't actually taking her seriously, are you? An arts revolution led by a maid? What a joke! Maria's heart dropped, but Jack stepped forward once more, defensively positioning himself in front of her. This isn't a joke. This is about people taking control of their own narratives. The tension hung in the air, electric and sharp, as the audience linked their reactions with the bickering. Would they stand with Maria or laugh it off like Greg? As they squared off, Maria felt energy swelling around her, the fear mixing with a budding sense of hope. In that moment, as laughter collided with voices lifted in support, she realized the stakes were higher than she'd ever imagined. Could they truly build a movement? Could she fight back against those who doubted her? And amidst the chaos, one definitive thought struck her: how deep was this challenge? What ripples would this cause in their lives? Are you all ready for what comes next? Maria's voice rang out, clear amid the noise, igniting a shift in the atmosphere. The crowd quieted, a moment of reflection washing over them as anticipation hung thick. What would they do when the real battle began? Maria held her breath as silence fell over the crowd. Every eye was on her, a sea of expectation filled with doubt and hope. She could feel the pounding of her heart in her ears, each beat pulling her closer to the moment where she would either sink or soar. Look, she began, her voice trembling but fierce, this is more than just me dancing. This is about every person who feels invisible. Every story that goes unheard. She could see whispers ripple through the crowd as her words began to sink in. A few faces softened, expressions shifting from skepticism to curiosity. Greg stepped closer, still sneering, but Maria found a new strength in his cynicism. This isn't a play, she said, her voice louder now. It's a statement. People are tired of being silenced. They long for connection, for understanding. I'm just using my passion to show that. Evelyn watched with a knowing smile. There it was, the spark she had hoped to ignite in Maria. Jack stood resolutely by her side, his energy feeding off hers. If they were going to face this together, they had to tackle it head-on. Maybe some of you think it's silly, Maria continued. But I think we're at a turning point. We can either laugh it off or stand up and try to create change. I choose to stand up. With each word, she felt the weight of the previous moments lift, transforming into pure, raw determination. A man toward the back, an older gentleman she recognized from a few community meetings, raised his hand. You're right. We're all looking for a voice, he called out. And you have ours. His statement was met with a murmur of agreement. One by one, others started to express their support, voices rising as they echoed the sentiment. Greg shifted back. The momentum was shifting away from him, and Maria could see the realization dawning on others too. This was not just her fight. It was theirs. Thank you? Maria exclaimed, her spirit buoyed as she locked eyes with Jack, who couldn't stop smiling. This moment was what they had been fighting for, a united front ready to resonate in the face of adversity. Then Evelyn stepped forward. This is the beginning, Maria. A movement starts when there's enough passion behind it. Let us channel that energy into creating something powerful. You need to hold workshops, find people willing to share their stories, to embrace their art. The plan began to ignite a fire within the crowd, enthusiasm bubbling to the surface. Ideas flew, discussions ensued, art classes, community showcases, interwoven stories of struggle and triumph. Maria's smile widened. This was happening. Unity was blossoming right before her eyes. Greg's laughter faded into the background. He felt more like a ghost now, lost in the shadows of everyone else's awakening. Confidence surged through Maria as she shared her vision. Let us create a space where everyone can express themselves freely. A platform for all. The crowd erupted with applause, voices rising above the noise, a chorus of acceptance surrounding her. But just as excitement took hold, Maria's thoughts flickered to potential risks. What about the backlash? What if this energy fizzled out? A small voice within whispered doubt, but she shook it off. For once, she needed to embrace faith over fear. With her arms raised, she declared, "Together, we will stand. Together, we will fight for our voices." The response was electric. Cheers echoed in the air, their collective spirit infectious and powerful. As the moment settled into a tangible reality, Maria caught Jack's glance. They shared a knowing smile. "Are you ready for this?" she whispered, heart racing with dreams swirling in her mind. "More than ever," he replied. Yet just then, a sharp voice broke through, declaring, "So you really think you can start an arts revolution? You're just a maid." The taunts came from Greg again, but Maria locked eyes with him, no longer shaken. "You don't know what's possible until you stop underestimating others." The uncertainty in the crowd suspended between readiness and doubt. Could they really make a change? Would they rally behind her cause when push came to shove? Maria stood firm, her spirit unwavering, but deep down, she knew the challenge ahead could be far greater than she imagined. And that sparked an exhilarating fear, one that made her pulse quicken and her determination sharpen. "Are you ready to fight together?" Maria asked, voice strong and clear, as the spotlight burned bright around her. The silence returned, filled with a weighty anticipation that made her wonder what this new chapter would unfold. The silence was thick, almost suffocating. Maria felt her heart pounding against her ribs like it wanted to leap out and join the chorus of voices. She searched the crowd, taking in the eager faces, each person hanging on her words. Together, she began, pulling in a deep breath, "We can build a world where every story matters. Where everyone has a voice." There was a flicker of hope in the crowd, a spark radiating from the faces that felt heard for the first time. Jack stepped up beside her, his presence powerful. "And it starts right now. Imagine a space where we can share our struggles through dance, through art," he said, his enthusiasm contagious. "We'll create a movement." Maria could see it taking form, the visions of a vibrant community brimming with creativity and support. Art classes, storytelling nights, recitals that valued every voice in their unique rhythms and tunes. "Can you picture it?" Jack asked, his eyes shining with excitement, urging the crowd along. A place to belong, to express, to unite. Some members of the crowd began to clamor for details. "When do we start?" a young woman asked, her eyes alive with ambition. "How do we get involved?" Another voice rang out, vibrant with energy. Maria felt adrenaline rush through her veins. "We'll hold meetings. Workshops," she declared. "Let us gather every week. Share our stories, create together. These walls won't teach us, witness art, they'll breathe it." Cheers erupted, voices rising in a jubilant anthem. "Yes!" they shouted, the camaraderie washing over Maria like a wave of warmth. Yet, amid the chorus, that ghost of doubt lingered. What if this momentum didn't last? What if the harsh realities of life shattered the dream she was beginning to build? She pushed the thoughts aside. Now wasn't the time for hesitation. She fixed her gaze back to Greg, who was watching, arms crossed, a scowl etched on his face. "What will you do, Greg?" Maria challenged, stepping away from Jack and toward him, locking eyes. "Will you keep fighting to stifle voices, or will you join us? Everyone deserves to be seen." Greg's demeanor flickered but remained unwavering. "You think this is going to work? You think people will care enough to show up every time? Why wouldn't they?" Maria replied fiercely. People are hungry for change. Hungry to be recognized and uplifted. In that moment, Evelyn joined Maria's side, her presence imposing and inviting. This could change everything, Greg. You know that. The tension in the air felt electric, the crowd holding its breath, not just for what Greg would say next, but for the energy of their dreams hanging delicately. Gregor's face contorted in thought, the skepticism slowly fading. What if it doesn't? Maria smiled brightly, despite the uncertainty. Then we keep trying. Together. What's important is that we take this step. No more hiding. Together, we stand strong. With a tentative acceptance, the crowd began to murmur in agreement, some nodding, some whispering plans too good to ignore. It was a beautiful shift, their fears transformed into action. Just then, Greg raised a brow and began to shake his head again. But before he could speak, a woman from the back shouted, So what's your story, Greg? Why don't you tell us? The crowd turned, whispers echoing back with curiosity, a sense of humor blooming in the moment. Maria felt a rush of adrenaline, and she smirked, her heart racing. Would Greg open up? Would this be the turning point in their journey? Her soul quivered with anticipation, not just for herself, but for what this could signify for their community. And just as Maria felt the weight of excitement build, a sharp crack of thunder rumbled overhead. Rain began to fall, cascading like tears from the sky, washing the moment in a new light. All right, Greg said, begrudging a smile as he finally stepped forward, you might just have something here. But would he reveal more than just a softening attitude? Would he allow the shared space between them to shatter barriers and spark real transformation? As the crowd huddled together, Maria stood at the forefront, glancing up into the rain, feeling invigorated. This was only the beginning, but how monumental could it become? Let us make magic in the storm. Maria shouted, gripping Jack's hand for support, hopeful for the adventure ahead. What lay beneath the surface of their untold stories? The rain poured on, washing away doubt but leaving questions hanging, ready to be answered in the chapters ahead. The rain intensified, drumming against the pavement like a heartbeat, strengthening the bond that was forming among them. Maria felt a surge of energy as she turned her gaze back to Greg, who stood hesitating, caught between the storm and whatever had held him back until now. The crowd grew quiet, the moment elongating, waiting for him to dive into the depths of vulnerability. Okay, he began, voice slightly shaky but steadying as he took a breath. I've never done something like this before. With each word, the crowd leaned in closer, proximity creating a shared intimacy. Maria's heart raced, her palms clammy, but she felt incredibly alive. This was the moment they'd been waiting for. Greg had the power to shift the tide, to either nourish this budding community or let old shadows resurface. Listen, he continued, I'm just a guy who's been told his whole life that feelings are weak. That showing emotion makes you less. Stunned silence fell over the crowd. Maria felt the weight of his confession raw, unfiltered. It resonated like a broken string, each word plucking at their collective heart. But I've watched you all, Greg went on, slowly warming to the rhythm of their encouragement. I see your stories spilling out, every time you speak or dance. It's like I'm seeing the truth for the first time. A murmur rippled through the crowd. They wanted to reach out, to affirm him. This was more than just a moment of realization. It was a potential turning point. Greg was ready to break free from the armor he wore so tightly. Evelyn stepped in closer, her voice soft but firm. Greg, we all carry stories that shape us, stories that can connect us. You're not alone. You can open up to us. The rain poured harder, the droplets creating a symphony as they dripped from the awning overhead, casting a feeling of warmth and safety around them. Maria could see Greg's defenses softening. I guess I just don't want to feel vulnerable. What if I step out, and no one's there to catch me? Then we catch each other. Jack shouted, the charisma of his voice enough to light a spark in the spirit of the crowd. This is about trust. Together we discover, together we heal. Maria felt the electricity of Jack's words. This wasn't just about Greg anymore. It was about everyone. Could he embrace this idea that healing was a gathering of shared experiences rather than isolation? She stepped forward, her voice steady but gentler. You have a place here, Greg. Your story matters. Everyone here wants to hold space for you. Greg's eyes flickered, the seed of a smile breaking through the storm cloud of his past. The clouds echoed their thoughts, rolling away, as if reassuring him that change was possible. In this moment, vulnerability became a strength, the community a shield against solitude. With a deep breath, Greg nodded, finally shedding bits of his reluctance. All right, here goes. I grew up thinking emotions were a burden. I trained myself to turn them off. But seeing you all, I feel like I've been living in black and white. Now you can color yourself in, someone from the back called, laughter breaking the tension, releasing hearts from fear. Greg smiled, more genuinely now. I'm ready to learn how to dance and color. The crowd erupted into applause, encouragement perfecting the air. Every face was lit with possibility. Maria spun around, her heart swelling, seeing the bursting synergy that could fill a void too long ignored. Yes! She exclaimed, let us share those colors. Let us dance like no one else watching. Amid the storm, the promise of transformation felt tangible. But as they all started to form a circle, a flash of uncertainty crossed Greg's face, one that hinted at deeper unresolved issues. What dance still lay ahead for him? What shadows did he still hold? The rain began to ease, a hint of sunlight breaking through the cloud cover. The community stood together, alive with hope, but would Greg fully embrace the vibrant life awaiting him? What would he uncover, both in his own heart and in the collective embrace of their dance? As laughter and encouragement swirled around them, Maria felt the weight of their journey ahead. What secrets would be unveiled in the rhythm of the night? What stories would emerge as they embraced their truths together? The laughter hung in the air, fresh and airy, but an undercurrent of tension still twined around Greg's heart. He stood at the edge of a precipice, ready to leap but unsure of what lay below. The faces around him beamed with warmth and acceptance, yet shadows from his past whispered caution in his ear. He felt both exhilarated and terrified. Jack stepped closer, grinning wide, breaking the stillness. Come on, man! Dance with us! His eyes sparkled, reflecting the flickering warmth of the gathering. With a gentle push from Evelyn, they moved into a circle, hands reaching out, welcoming Greg to join this blossoming connection. Maria could see Greg hesitating. His body loosened slightly, but the tension still gripped his shoulders. She felt a pang in her heart, wishing she could bridge that final gap of uncertainty. You've got this, Greg! She cheered, her voice unwavering. Finally, he took that first step forward, a small one. With a deep breath, he joined the circle, and for a fleeting moment, the world around him faded. He was submerged in their energy, surrounded by people who understood the beauty within struggles. One beat, then another. The rhythmic patter of the remaining raindrops against the pavement transformed into something glorious, a heartbeat of life that echoed in his chest. Just feel it! Jack called out, spinning effortlessly, pulling everyone into the rhythm. The circular movement ignited something in Greg. He began to sway, once awkwardly, then steadily, allowing the music of his heart to drown out any lingering doubts. The rain lightened, becoming a gentle mist, like the universe itself was cheering him on. Laughter and shouts of joy erupted as they twirled and spun, the dancers drawing closer. In the middle of this, Maria's gaze met his, and in that moment, it was as if the universe aligned, reminding him he was not alone. He could show his colors. So he let go, allowing joy to paint his soul anew. Suddenly, a sense of freedom washed over him. It felt like standing on the sun-drenched beach after a long winter, toes sinking into warm sand while waves kissed his feet. Evelyn twirled nearby, her laughter slicing through the murmur of the rain-soaked night. Let go, Greg! Show us the colors you've hidden! She called, and her encouragement propelled him further. With each sway, each motion, memories of doubt began to fade. He slipped from the grip of fear, the dance igniting an understanding deep within him. Suddenly it all felt familiar. He could dance. He could feel. With more confidence, he began to express not only himself through movement, but also through laughter, sharing the weight of his past with every step. As the night unfolded, Maria caught the glimmer of hope in Greg's eyes. She could see it the way he was shedding his past. The colors were pouring out, each movement a brushstroke filling in the gaps of his once bleak canvas. But just then, as the emotions reached their peak, a piercing sound broke through the moment. A sudden commotion erupted on the street. A truck skidded to a stop nearby, its headlights slicing through the fading twilight. The joyful dance stuttered, shadows creeping back into the space. Greg froze, eyes darting to the sound, the newfound freedom dangling precariously on the edge of confusion. Behind him, whispers of concern rippled through the crowd. What had just begun to bloom was now shaking, as uncertainty loomed ahead. Would Greg be strong enough to confront whatever darkness threatened to pull him back? Would what they had built hold against the storms outside? As they caught their breath, Maria realized this was merely the beginning. The dance had revealed more than just who Greg was, it had churned up layers concealed beneath the surface. The question that hung heavy in the air, what awaited them now as they faced unseen challenges together? The crowd parted, a wave of anxious murmurs rippling through the lively gathering. Greg could feel the chill of uncertainty creeping back in, clamping down like a vice around his chest. What had felt so liberating moments ago now teetered on the brink of catastrophe. The laughter faded, replaced by apprehensive glances as everyone turned toward the truck. Jack stepped forward, crossing his arms against the sudden tension. "What the hell is going on?" he asked, squinting into the darkness. The headlights illuminated strange shadows, flickering like ghosts across the pavement. Greg followed his gaze, heart racing, contemplating what might emerge. The truck's engine growled as its driver climbed out, a silhouette against the blinding light. The air buzzed with whispered speculation. Was it trouble? A grim feeling settled in Greg's stomach. He felt exposed, raw, as if the fears he had just danced away were suddenly rising to the surface. Maria instinctively moved closer to Greg, her presence grounding him. "Whatever it is, we'll face it together," she whispered, squeezing his hand, urging strength into his veins. It was a simple gesture, but it seemed to dissolve some of the uncertainty coiling within him. In that moment, the truck driver stepped forward, revealing a familiar face: Harold, the local mechanic and someone Greg had not seen in years. Greg's heartbeat faltered, and a flood of past memories washed over him. Harold had been an unfortunate reminder of the life he had tried to escape, tainted by accidents and unfulfilled dreams. "Greg!" Harold shouted over the din of distant voices. "I need your help." The words broke through the apprehensive murmur. Greg's knees seemed to slip beneath him. The weight of the past threatened to pull him under, and he was dimly aware of the eyes fixated on him. "Help?" Evelyn echoed, stepping beside Greg. "What do you mean?" Harold paused, glancing over the throng before continuing. "There was an accident at the shop. I can't do this alone." The urgency was evident in his tone, desperation oozed from his every word. Greg felt his heart race. So much had changed since breaking free of that life. His instinct was to pull back, to deny his past once more, but the look on Harold's face pierced through his hesitation. In that moment, he realized that dancing among friends and facing an old acquaintance wasn't so different. Both required rawness and acceptance of vulnerability. The gathering, once filled with joyous celebration, now simmered with tension. Jack stepped in closer, trying to assess the situation. "What can we do?" Maria's grip on Greg's hand tightened. "We can help," she said firmly, her eyes steady with resolve. "Together." Greg searched the faces around him. His heart pounded harder than before, but intertwined in the rhythm of their collective energy was something powerful: hope. He could feel the flicker of determination igniting within him again, just like the earlier joy had. "Let us go," he finally said, deciding to step forward. The truck, the past, the uncertainty, it all felt like another layer he needed to peel back. His dance was just beginning, and facing this challenge might just reveal another color he didn't know he had. With Maria and Jack leading the way, he followed, a mix of apprehension and excitement surging through him. As they headed toward the truck, Greg couldn't shake the nagging thought that whatever lay ahead could either reshape his past or bind him further to it, and deep within, A question echoed louder than all the others. What if facing this challenge would bring about a transformation unlike anything he had ever known? The shop loomed ahead, its familiar facade now tinted with a sense of urgency. Shadows danced across the walls, glimmers of hope intertwined with the weight of the unknown. Greg felt the thrum of the crowd behind him, a patchwork of shared stories, of raw emotions, bolstering his courage. He inhaled deeply, recalling the freedom he had just tasted on stage, the pulse of creative expression thrumming in his veins. "Stay close, we're in this together," Maria whispered, her voice steady yet filled with promise. As they approached, Harold met them at the entrance, anxiety etched into his features. "It's bad inside. The machinery, it's jammed and starting to smoke. I couldn't fix it alone." Jack stepped forward, determination mingling with concern. "We can help. Show us." They rushed through the doors, the scent of oil and metal flooding their senses, memories flooding in behind it. Greg felt the conflict within him, a tug between the boy he used to be and the man he was becoming. This was the very place he had wanted to escape, yet it was also a part of his story he still needed to confront. Inside, machines hummed ominously, while thick clouds of smoke coiled in the air. Time seemed to still as they absorbed the chaotic scene. The glow of flickering lights illuminated the urgency around them, revealing a tangled web of gears and metallic distress that had become his reality not long ago. "Grab that wrench!" Greg shouted, snapping into gear, adrenaline surging through him. Everyone moved quickly, falling into an unspoken rhythm of camaraderie, unified in their commitment. They began to work, a flurry of hands moving in tandem, Jack and Harold maneuvering around the machinery while Maria and Evelyn supported with calming words and steady guidance. Greg found himself at the center of it all, resonating with the idea that vulnerability could indeed flourish into strength. With every rotation of the wrench, every reassuring shout from his friends, he felt the shackles of his past begin to loosen. His heart raced as he worked alongside the very people who had once aimed to confine him. The irony wasn't lost on him. Could it be that understanding those shadows released him into brilliance? "Keep going," Maria encouraged as she sprayed water on the overheating engine, steam rising like the breath of a dragon. Greg could see determination etched in her brow, her spirit igniting a fire within him. "You've got this," she added, eyes sparkling with conviction. In that moment, he remembered the power of connection, the beauty and acceptance woven into their transformed lives. This wasn't just about him anymore. It was about everyone coming together to face the unknown. The tension grew as the gears wheezed and hissed under the intensity of their efforts. Just when Greg thought hope was out of reach, a loud pop echoed through the workshop. The machine sputtered, and slowly, the rumbling ceased. Cheers erupted as the smoke cleared, revealing the repaired engine standing proud against the backdrop of uncertainty. In that moment, everything clicked. Greg realized the deeper lesson within their struggle. The real transformation lay not just in tackling adversity, but within finding strength together. As they stepped outside, the crowd erupted in applause, the noise mingling with the rhythm of the rain that had now turned gentle, a soothing reminder of their triumph. "I couldn't have done it without all of you," Greg admitted, his voice thick with emotion. "Thank you for believing in me." Jack grinned wide, pride illuminating his expression. "And you believed in us too. It's only the beginning, man." Maria stepped closer, her warmth wrapping around him like a cherished memory. "This is what we stand for together." As they shared a collective laugh, Maria turned her gaze skyward, eyes reflecting the shimmering light breaking through the clouds. "What's next?" she asked, her excitement infectious. Evelyn chuckled, crossing her arms with satisfaction. "Well, now we take this momentum and channel it into that movement we talked about. It's time for our voices to be heard." Greg felt a swell of exhilaration. Extensive ideas fluttered through his mind, but it was clearer now. "Let us start by creating a community workshop for arts and stories, clearing paths for conversation and creativity," he suggested, his energy contagious. "That's brilliant!" Jack exclaimed. "A chance for all of us to lift each other up." They stood together, alive with possibility. This time, however, it wasn't just about Greg overcoming the scars of his past. It was about shaping a future where every voice and every dance would matter. As the warmth of the sunlight broke through the clouds, illuminating their shared journey, Maria's hand found Greg's once more. He could feel the hope radiating from her, lighting up their shared path forward, and their community grew stronger. Bound by struggles, and ignited by creativity, they stepped into future adventures, each day a new chance to transform their world together. As the first whispers of a warm breeze swept through, bringing with it the smells of blooming flowers, Greg realized he did not just belong. He had finally come home. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Comment down below your reactions and feelings about this inspiring ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share.